Producers Harry Saltzman and Cubby Broccoli have presided over 7 phenomenally successful James Bond films. Live and Let Die will be the 8th in their series.
We originally planned to use Roger Moore when we made Dr. No, but he wasn't available. He was working on television. And then when we recast for On Her Majesty's Service, he was again not available. And now for Live and Let Die, he was available, so we signed him up.
The director, Guy Hamilton, a veteran of 2 of them, Goldfinger and Diamonds Are Forever.
I don't expect them to cheer and laugh when he first appears. He's got to earn their respect, and I think he'll do this very quickly.
I would be an awfully ungrateful actor if I didn't say I like being James Bond. It's like being a precious stone in a very expensive mounting, and a Bond film is the most expensive mounting you can get as an actor. When Harry Saltzman and Cubby Broccoli first asked me to play Bond in Live and Let Die, naturally, the first thing I did was read the script. To my horror, I realized that I would have to get myself in a much fitter condition than I normally keep myself. I'm fortunate, but I do have a swimming pool at home, which I use at 6 o'clock in the morning, but I realized that was not quite enough, so I spend half an hour in the pool in the morning and half an hour of fairly strenuous exercise. The reason being, in Live and Let Die, I'm required as Bond to do things I've never done before. Fight 1,500 alligators. Be towed behind a boat in a glider. And also drive powerboats. Oh, I've putted around in the Mediterranean in little boats, but I've never driven them at really high speed or performed some of the horrendous stunts that I'm expected to do in this. Harry and Cubby got hold of a young man from the southern states of America called Jerry Como. His function on the film is stunt driver, stunt coordinator, and also my teacher.
Even on a normal film, one has difficulty integrating the actor into a sequence requiring dangerous and unfamiliar stunts. In a Bond film, the problem becomes more acute. How to lead your star through the most unthinkable perils without losing him somewhere along the way. Roger Moore is always willing to give it a try, even when the writer and director have conspired to place some pretty formidable obstacles in his path. One small section of the sequence has been safely and successfully filmed. For Roger Moore, this is the beginning. For others, such as director Guy Hamilton and screenwriter Tom Mankiewicz, the end product of a process begun almost a year earlier. With the project as complex as a James Bond film, how do you begin?
Well, you meet on January 1, and you lock yourself up in an office with a lot of cigarettes. And usually in about 3 weeks, you've got the story. You've got 3 acts. You know roughly what's happening. You know the characters involved. But the real problem is where you're going to take James Bond to, because you can't take him to places where people go for their summer holidays. He can't go down dirty back alleys, because you see this on television in every thick year, every night. Bond always goes after a villain who happens to own a private island, the largest yacht in the world, an underground volcano, so that in the course of these adventures, Bond is going to meet the prettiest ladies in the world. He's not going to meet prostitutes. He's not going to meet anything like that. One is looking for things that no way, except by buying a ticket to see a James Bond picture, are you going to be allowed. I always think of Onassis, that Mr. Big to me is always Onassis, and therefore I look for private islands, I look for private aeroplanes, I look for, which should have swimming pools on. this is the way one starts thinking.
The sounds and feel of the Caribbean seem to act as a natural complement to the stories. It was on Jamaica, in this house, that Ian Fleming spawned some of Bond's most worthy adversaries. 3 of them were Blofeld in From Russia with Love, Goldfinger and Dr. No. Live and Let Die has its own assortment of villains, and Gloria Hendry as double agent Rosie Carver amply proves that not all of them need to crush, to slice or to kick to get their way. But even though they come in differing shapes and sizes, James Bond has learned to be wary of all of them. Julius Harris plays the part of Teehee, a one-armed henchman with a potentially painful handshake.
You know what I do with this? You know what this is?
Huh?
You know what this is? This is a hook that I use in the Bond picture. And I played a part of Teehee. And I use this, I get hold of Bond's wrist like this, close it, and then I take a gun out, and I bend it.
Perhaps no film hero has ever gone to quite so much trouble to visit a girl. In this case, the mysterious and clairvoyant Miss Solitaire, played by Jane Seymour.
But when we're in trouble, which is fairly frequently, we always go back to Fleming himself and the very great characters that he produced, particularly amongst the women. Pussy Galore, Solitaire, and the unique proposition that he gave Solitaire, a girl who could foretell the future. Here, Solitaire deals with tarot cards and the occult. And you will see on the screen that it works, because when she turns a card over and says such and such will happen, it happens. This is Bond's major problem.
Black Queen on the Red King. Miss.
Solitaire.
My name's Bond. James Bond.
I know who you are, what you are, and why you've come. You've made a mistake. You will not succeed.
It isn't until he realizes that this girl has the power of foretelling the future that he can make any progress with the story at all.
Right.
My only regret is I won't be there to see it.
We get to the door, and very conveniently, there's an aircraft with its engine running. It's too convenient, but you run over, and the excuse for it is there's a little old lady sitting waiting for a driving lesson. No time for just, who are you? Don't worry, I'm giving the lesson. And we're off down here. Now the heavy cars come in here. You can't get out to the airfields. There's nowhere to go round there. By this time, the cars have got ahead, so we cut in.
We've got enough room to get through here.
Well, 2 low wings here, and the idea is that because the low wings, you can get over and across. Coming back down here, the more heavies are coming here. They drive you into the hangar. First load of heavies come round, miss the bend, and this is the first of our disposable aircraft. So we're now clear, coming out. You can't go there, this is the fence. So coming here, 2 comes along. The windscreen's been cracked up there, so there's no reason why he can go. Follows you, misses, hits the tail of the DC, which will swing it around. As you're coming here, this car, which is coming in, just gets by, up and over, and that, I think, should be quite interesting enough.
This is a twist around here.
That's a twist around because I got to delay you because we're bound to want to stay on getting a car over the aircraft and don't want you going through the hangar yet till we've completed this exercise.
it's not bad for a rehearsal, is it? Guy Hamilton thinks I'm going to do that again. You better get the other fellow back, I tell you.
Dr. Kananga, Bond's chief nemesis in the film, played by Yaphet Kotto.
Hold it there. Hold it there. On balance. Keep him on balance. And go.
I believe in that. I believe that there is an inner part of man, a self that is undistinguishable, that's powerful, that's part of the universe, that can almost make a person so in tune with the nature of things around him, both past, present, and future, that clairvoyancy is more than just possible. It was one of the things that attracted me to play the part of Kananga, the fact that he believed this. He desperately believes in his clairvoyancy in terms of using solitaire to find out everything that Bond does in the picture, and it confuses him, you know? Every move that Bond makes, Kananga is on top of him because he's got solitaire. And that's the thing that attracted me to the part, in playing it with Kananga. In doing a Bond film, you get the chance to experience all those things you don't do in ordinary life.
Clairvoyancy, tarot, and the voodoo religion are all familiar subjects to Geoffrey Holder, who plays the evil god of cemeteries, Baron Samedi. Born in Trinidad, himself a witness to many voodoo ceremonies as a young boy, his affinity with the occult became almost infectious.
We have been on the same vibration all day long.
All right? That's right. If you fall, get up. I couldn't care less. All right? That's what we're here for. 5, 6, ready, go. And run 10, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 3, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Holder has starred as a dancer on Broadway and has maintained a celebrated dance company of his own in New York for many years. Now in Jamaica, he rehearses the National Ballet Company for a scene in the film that's to be shot later that evening.
And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You all look like Swan Queen 6. Rest. Woo.
Seems ages since I last did.
Little did James Bond realize as he watched this cabaret scene from the balcony of his hotel room what an ill omen it was. For the future was to bring Solitaire a horribly harrowing experience.
These prehistoric monsters, there are about 2,000 of them around here. They're very odd things. They live to 200 years old, so they're not going anywhere, and that's why you always see them not moving, but they can really shift. And the only piece of information, useless I might add, that I can tell you is if they come at you, zigzag, because they can't zigzag. But they do move fast, and that's why you've got to be a little bit careful around here. There's a nice one over here, Roger. I'd like you to look at that. That's a croc. That's a croc, because it's got the pointed nose. You can come round, and there's another one moving there. See him over there. The pointed nose. They don't move. They stay with their mouths open like that for a very long time, doing absolutely nothing. You've got one there for you. He looks absolutely stuffed, but believe me, if you start moving, he really starts happening.
How old is he?
He's about 5, 6 years old. All there too. floating. That's the sort of shot that we like. Get you and them together. I said, let's go to New Orleans. Why, said Tom Mankiewicz. And he said, and I said, well, because I love jazz and I've never been there. That's a good enough reason. And he said, oh, you'll love it. I've been there. And we said, well, now we've got to find what we're going to do when we get there. What happens in New Orleans apart from jazz? And Tom said, well, there are jazz funerals. And so we went there and had a look and saw hundreds of feet of film of old jazz funerals that people had recorded. So far, so good, but that was only one scene lasting about a minute on the screen. And I knew that they would transparently see through this unless we invented something else that took place in New Orleans as well. So the moment we got there, I went up in a helicopter and did the usual thing, which is about within 60-mile radius of New Orleans, because although Bond spends a lot of money, we are practical people, and you cannot move a unit from A to B to C to D every day. You know what a circus it is. And out of this began to emerge an idea for a boat chase.
Not only does he crash through wedding cakes and into tents, but leading black stuntman Eddie Smith is involved in a whole series of spectacular stunts throughout the film.
I'm Eddie Smith, the business manager for the Black Stuntmen's Association. We couldn't get into the White Stuntmen's Association, and we had to organize ourselves. Sorry to say it has to be two groups, a white group and a black group, but eventually I think in the near future it will be all just one group. They've been painting white down for many, many years. It's because at that time they had no blacks that were qualified to do stunts. There was a picture called Mad, Mad World, which really gave me the incident, who was directed by Stanley Kramer. He said, Eddie, if you can get me some black guy who is qualified to do the stunt that I want done in this film, I will use him. He gave me 3 days to produce. So at the end of the 3 days, I really couldn't find a black guy who was qualified. You got to be able to cut the mustard. And what I say about cutting the mustard is being yourself qualified and being able to do the job that you were hired to do, whether you're black, white, green, or what. And this is where I thought it was time to get together. In fact, we started our group in 1967, and we rehearsed and rehearsed and rehearsed and got ourselves together. Oh, sure. So it was just good that Harry Saltzman gave us this opportunity to show what we could do as stuntmen. Hey, everybody back, come on. Back, everybody back.
Mind the fellas, we've got cars as well as boats on this. I would recommend you vacate that area.
Bond has become fantasy. The joy for me of making a Bond picture is that the audience know perfectly well what I'm going to do. They know the ground rules. And the thing is to surprise them, amuse them, entertain them in a great, wild farce that you will never see except once a year in a Bond movie.
Stand by all cameras. Roll, cameras.